When we think of limitlessness, we must think of our limits. And this one particular limit is almost like a joke. It's almost comical because all of us know this, and it's funny that we are even sharing this at this point in time. Now, this limit I call is the idea limit. The idea limit is we think of things in our head, we process them a lot, we gather information, so on and so forth. I mean, if you borrow from entrepreneurial, I mean, pun intended, entrepreneurial language, and we think of ideation, so on and so forth. But what happens is when we are trying to perfect these ideas, we forget to implement them, or something limits us to implement them. And one of the most important limits is lack of humility. This lack that tells us that we need to be perfect and our ideas need to be really good, so on and so forth. And these ideas should be almighty. Nothing is almighty. Neither us nor our ideas, they aren't almighty. They wouldn't function on their own, and they would not have an effect on the world outside or whatever we are thinking of, our own success, monetary, things like that, so on and so forth, or we're thinking of some really world-changing act, so on and so forth. But as long as it's in the thinking realm, it does not really matter, because the idea then would not become an action, and only actions have consequences. Now, in so saying, I'm also thinking that when we think of the wisdom from the past, there's this great master from Nalanda University in the 7th century. His name is Acharya Shantideva. He says the similar thing, not exactly, because his wisdom is really, really profound. And he talks about how thinking of things is just not enough. And this he talks in the sense of in the action towards becoming a Buddha. As the Bodhisattva takes the journey, the Acharya says that you may think that you're taking the journey, which is okay, which is good, which is a good thought than trying to do some harm onto self and others. But if you do not really take the journey itself, there is no way for you to become a Buddha, or you're really a practicing Bodhisattva. So in the link, I'll also post a shloka. Acharya Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avatara has a shloka on this and a translation for that, like a loose translation, because I don't want to use copyrighted material. So I'll just do a loose translation of the shloka.